Hey, how's it going? This is Craig here from Bass Lessons Melbourne, and welcome to my compressor roundup video. In this video I'm going to talk about these three guys which I've picked from the compressor shootout video as being my top picks in three different price categories. So we've got the high end, we've got the medium level, and then we've got the kind of budget entry level price points. And I've chosen my favourite compressor from each of those levels. So if you haven't seen those videos yet, then I suggest that you click on one of the links here or in the description to go and check out the compressor shootout video, as well as some of the individual ones, to hear what these guys can do, as well as all of these lovely pedals over here on the desk, and make up your mind. You know, choose which one you prefer. So the reason I've chosen the three that I have, like I said, it's based on price point, but also what I look for in a compressor and what sounds good to me. That might be different for you, but I'm going to tell you what I think and why I chose these over some of the other pedals over here. So let's start off at the top with the boutique high level pedals. For this, my pick was the Empress Compressor. There's a lot of competition in this bracket. We had the Empress. We also have the Origin FX Cali 76, which is awesome, and next to that, the Darkglass Super Symmetry, which is also an amazing pedal. All up there. You know, the $300, $400, $500 bracket. But the reason I chose the Empress is that I felt like it did a lot of things really well, and there's a lot of control with it. So we've got three different compression ratios. We've got 2:1, 4:1, 10:1. We've got input level, attack time, release time, mix. So you can blend in some of the dry signal as well, which is a really great feature. And we've got an output level. And then we've got this awesome metering up here. So you can meter the input, you can meter gain reduction, or you can have both, which I thought was a really nice touch. On off, and we've also got sidechain input is here as well here, which is a handy little addition. So I felt that the Empress, it had a really nice sound overall. It's you know, when you're talking about sounds and stuff, it's kind of hard to describe. But for me, I felt it did the compression thing really well. If you wanted it to be heavy, you know, you stick it on the 10:1 ratio if you're playing for it with a pick. If you want it just to be kind of subtle, you put it on the 2:1. If you wanted to be, you know, controlling those peaks and stuff and give you a bit of pumping, then you put it on 4:1, and by dialing in your different input and blend ratios, then you can get awesome results. No loss of high end, I felt as well, which is you do sometimes get with compressors, where it takes away a little bit of that high end. It's quite light. The Cali 76 is a heavy pedal. And that's a factor you need to consider if you've got a big pedal board, which I do, and you've got lots of pedals on it, that if they're all like that, then that can be an issue. But you know, each to their own. It's not that big of a deal. So next up in the kind of medium price bracket, I chose the EBS Multicomp Studio Edition. This is a great pedal. Really easy to use. You've got two controls. You've got compression limit and you've got gain. And then you've got a switch in the middle to go from tube sim, multiband, and normal compression settings. And I pretty much always find myself being drawn to the tube sim setting, as it kind of does what I want a compressor to do, which is just kind of fatten up the sound, just make it kind of sit there nicely in the mix consistently, for playing live or for recording. That's kind of what I'm looking for when I'm using a compressor in my rig. I think compression, if you're using it in a mixing sense, is a slightly different animal, because when you're using it on a pedal, you immediately feel the effect of the compressor, and that can be off-putting, I think, and I think that's maybe what a lot of people struggle with, is that feeling of your dynamic range being reduced. And unless you really crank the compression on this, you don't really get that. It feels like it's helping your notes, which is really awesome. And it's also got an active passive switch on the side, which is a great feature, because one of the things I found with, for example, the Diamond compressor, and albeit this is I think this is the CPR1, which is the guitar version, but it's used by lots of bassists. They do make a bass version of it, and that's probably solved this problem, in that I found that with the active 5-string with the F bass, this would compress on the lowest setting, and I couldn't really get a nice smooth sound from it with the 5-string. It was always getting squashed, even on the lowest setting. And then when I started to really dig in, I could really feel my dynamics being reduced. With passive bass, this was great. So, like I say, it's all depending on what you're looking for, your playing style, and what you use. In this bracket, obviously, there's a few contenders. The MXR is popular. It looks great. It's really well built, lots of controls, but I felt it was quite squashy sounding, even on the lowest setting here, which is 4. A little bit uneven feeling to me. I felt like when I was playing through this, it's fighting against me for some reason. It's hard to explain. The Aguilar was good. Maybe a little bit too transparent for my tastes, but a good pedal nonetheless. So, finally, for the entry-level budget compressor, you can't go past the Zoom Multi-Stomp MS60B. I mean, you get 4 different compressors in here. You get the D comp, you get the M comp, which is basically this. You get the Punch Factory, I think, version of this. You get a copy of a DBX 163 or 16A, which is great, and then you also get a compressor, a limiter. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, and a limiter. So you get 5 different kind of compressors in the one box, and they sound good. There's no loss of high end. You get lots of control. You can save your settings, and if you don't like it, then you've got 100 other effects that you can choose from. Whereas you buy a compressor pedal, you try it, you don't like it, you sell it and move on. Whereas this, I mean, you just, for the money, you just can't go wrong. It's an amazing little box. Good sound quality, lots of control, and 100 other effects to play with as well if you don't like it. In that level, the Punch Factory is a good choice. It's fairly subtle until you get up to the high end of the drive, which starts to add a little bit of noise. But this has got tons of features and controls in it. It's a DI, which you can switch between being the compressed sound or the dry sound. You've got your input output. You've got the active passive switch as well, and then you've got a power supply which can run 5 to 32 volts AC, plus or minus 7 to 48 volts DC. So this thing is basically, you can basically use it in space, it seems. It's a good pedal. I don't think they make it anymore. It's good. No real loss of high end that I could detect either, which was good. And just a nice simple 2-control compressor. Other notable pedals, that was kind of it. Again, Darkglass does a fantastic job. Lots of control, good metering, nice switch. Really lightweight, which is good. It looks like it's going to be really solid, but it is solidly built, but it doesn't weigh a lot. It has an interesting power system where it has its own 18 volt step up inbuilt, I think. So when you plug it in, it goes through the sequence of stepping up the voltage to 18 volts. And for me, that sometimes didn't work. I had to kind of unplug and plug in again. Bit of a pain. You can't run it on batteries, only with a power supply, so that's an issue. And at this kind of price point, I kind of don't want to be dictated to by the pedal of the, you know, with how to use it. You know, I want to be able to use it in a multitude of situations however I want, which I felt that the Empress did very well. But in saying that, this does sound good. It sounds good over the usable range of, so it's really usable, sorry, over the range of compression settings in here. And it looks pretty cool as well. Another honourable mention is the Markbass Compressore. This guy, which has a valve built into it here. Runs on its own dedicated 12 volt power supply. Bunch of controls. You've got your gain, threshold, ratio, attack and release, and then your output volume. And it does a really nice job of smoothing out your signal, fattening things up. You know, everything from nice low smoothing to high end pumping compression. It can do that. It's just huge. Like, you're gonna have a pedal board. You know, this takes up nearly three of these, and I felt that sometimes it was difficult to get the output volume to be the same as the output volume to be the same when it's turned on as what your volume is when it's turned off. So I could have done with a little bit more juice in the output section. A reduced size. I really don't know why it has to be this big. And the option to maybe run it on 9 volts, 9 volts through to 18. A lot of these pedals, like the Empress, the Diamond, and the Keeley, they accept like 9 to 18 volts kind of thing. So that if you want to run it off the same chain as all your other pedals, you can, as opposed to having to bring a dedicated power supply. Just kind of, all these things kind of add together, especially when you're up in this price bracket. You're like, well, you know, you're up against things like this. So unfortunately that kind of put it out of the picture for me. If this was in a smaller form factor with a little bit more output juice and running off 9 volts, then this would be a serious contender for my pick, I felt. So yeah, that's the Markbass Compressore. Anything else we should talk about? The Keeley limiting amplifier GC2, that was I didn't really gel with this one at all. It felt really fierce. You only have control over the compression ratio and the threshold, and just a huge amount of gain, like crazy amount of gain. It seemed like it was like all or nothing with this. You know, you'd have nothing, and then tons of compression. It was really fiddly to try and get a nice sound, and always felt like it was quite pumping. Maybe it's better for guitars, this one, I'm not sure. The Dodd was not ideal for bass, I don't think. Again, maybe better for a guitar thing. I thought it did a really good job with the pick test. I thought it sounded nice and fat and even on that, but everything else, not so much. A bit of high-end loss as well with this, I found. The Pigtronix Philosopher's Tone. It's an interesting pedal. This, I couldn't really get it to work as just like a straight up compressor pedal as such, but it does have some wicked grit, some distortion things going on, which if you wanted to use it as an effect, then this is pretty cool. I kind of included it as something different, a little bit left field. It's still labeled as a bass compressor, but I think in comparison to pedals like the Multicomp, it falls short in that category. But as a specific effect, if you want something that adds a bit of dirt to your tone, then this is a really cool option. Runs 9 to 18 volts as well, and it's really light, nicely made. I'm pretty sure it's true bypass as well, which is nice. The BBE Opto Stomp, I can't really recommend this one too much. Didn't really seem to do much until you got right up to the top here, and even then I didn't think it sounded that great, but it's really well made and it's quite affordable, so it has that going for it at least. Maybe I'll talk a little bit more about the Keeley 76. You've got controls here. You've got dry, you got your, to blend in how much of your dry signal you want with the affected compressed signal. You've got your overall output, you've got your input, which then also affects how early the or at what point the compression kicks in. You've got your ratio. You've got an automated attack and release control, which was pretty cool, I felt. You've got, so here you've got a fast attack, slow release, and then over here you've got slow attack, fast release, and obviously everything in the middle. So pretty useful, as a lot of the time I find myself when I have individual controls, you kind of go for fast attack, slow release, or slow attack, fast release, depending on the playing style at what you're going for, or have it kind of set in the middle for an overall kind of thing. It's got this high pass filter, which was pretty cool. I'm not entirely sure it's necessary, because I just kind of always had it set to here, where it sounded most like the unprocessed tone. All the way here it was a little bit darker. So I don't know, maybe they could have added in a different control here. Maybe, I don't know. I don't build compressors, but what do we have here? Anything? Blend? No. I don't know. Maybe they could have just taken it out and made it a bit smaller and lighter. Beautiful metering with this dual light here. It's just mesmerizing to watch this act away. Nice foot switch, silent. I mean, awesomely built. Really quiet, clean, no loss of high end. It's a great pedal, so it was a tough choice between this and the Empress, to be honest. For me, I just kind of preferred the sound of the Empress over this, but it's certainly by no means a better pedal, if you know what I mean. There you have it. That is my roundup of the compressors. Empress for the win up the top there. EBS, great all-rounder in the middle, and the Zoom MS60B Multi-Stomp for just entry-level goodness. So, hope you enjoyed that. Please like, share and subscribe. Put any questions you might have in the comments and I'll try and get back to you. Again, you know, this is just what worked for me, what I liked. There's obviously pedals here that I didn't get to try, like the TC Spectra Comp, the new Boss one, and a couple of other ones, but you know, this is what I could get my hands on, so this is what I'm judging my choices on. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.